Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Let's talk some LSU football. Tigers were in full pads on the practice field today. Matthew Brune from On3 Sports was there to cover it. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, I'm doing great. Just, work never stops now that we're in football season.
It's pretty much around the clock type stuff at this point, but that's a good thing. It beats the hell out of July. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm just going to toss a name out to you, and you kind of tell me what your thoughts have been through a week or so of camp. Ashton Stamps.
He's been really good. He's been terrific, honestly. I think he has taken the necessary steps forward. I still don't think he's by any means an all-conference player or anything like that, but I think he's a solid corner who continues to challenge himself. Today we saw him out there against Kyren Lacy. He'll lose reps, but he continues to push himself. And honestly, at this point, that's what this defense needs. It needs guys that are willing to compete and improve. So I feel good about it.
Sage Ryan.
Feel less good about him. The indecision of the defensive staff putting him between safety and corner kind of, to me, indicates a lack of trust at either one, but I still don't think he physically fits the profile of a high-level cornerback, and I think I would rather have P.J. Woodland over him, but I think they trust the, obviously, veteran presence and a guy who at least will be in the right position most of the time.
How much of his basically exclusively playing cornerback while we've been out there has to do with Zy Alexander being unable to go through everything at full speed and Javian Toviano kind of being eased in? I mean, is that why he's out there, or do they just don't know where to play him?
I think it's both. I do definitely think if Zy Alexander was healthy, we'd see Alexander and Stamps, the two corners. To your point, Javian Toviano has pretty much been sidelined. Like, he's been out there, but he hasn't done anything. So we're still trying to figure out what his situation is. So, yes, I do think that plays a significant role. But also, if they really liked what they saw from him in the spring at safety, I can't imagine that they would then move him and in favor of Jordan Allen moving to safety. Like, I just can't see that being the case. So I think he's a tweener. I think he's a guy who, with his size and maybe limited top end speed, doesn't check as many boxes as you want at either position.
Jacobian Guillory.
I think he's been the best defensive tackle, which isn't a shock, but I think he's definitely locked in. And I'm someone who was skeptical coming in of Guillory because the past 2 years it's always been Jacobian Guillory. Let's see when he pops. Let's see what he does, and he's just never really popped. So I'm hesitant to buy stock, but at the same time, Guillory, I think, has had a good camp. And honestly, LSU doesn't have another choice but to play Jacobian Guillory and hope that he's really good. So I think he's been good in camp. I think it helps that he's getting good coaching from Bo Davis, and I think he'll have a good year.
How about on the opposite side of the ball, DJ Chester at center?
A little disappointing. I think he is someone that I maybe had too high of expectations going in. I think he, as a freshman, just checks a lot of boxes in terms of his physical stature and just the potential that he has with his strength. And I thought that was going to be a significant upgrade over Charles Turner. Just watching him and hearing Brian Kelly talk about him and whatnot, it feels like he still really has some time before we reach that potential. So I don't think it'll be a significant blow to this offensive line if he's a little subpar, but obviously they have plenty of talent around him. But I think this will be a work in progress with DJ Chester. I'm not out on him. I think he's going to be a good player, but it might take some time.
This comes a little bit more important after yesterday's news, but Kamorian Pimpton.
Yeah, Pimpton's someone I've gone back and forth on a little bit. Out of high school, I wasn't the highest on him. A lot of people obviously were. I think On3 had him as the number 5 tight end or something in the class. But overall, I think the receiving ability is there. I think he's gotten a lot better as a blocker, which is, like you said, very significant with Max Barkley leaving. He's going to play a ton this year. I'm interested to see how many 12 personnel sets they play with him. And I think he gets, a reasonable amount of catches. I just don't know. I don't think the upside is nearly what obviously Trey Des Green is, and that might be unfair, but that's just kind of where my head is.
I think that's completely fair with anybody that's out there. I mean, you just see Trey'Dez Green. He's a little bit taller, and he's faster, and he can jump a little bit higher, and he's everything that Kamorian Pimpton is, just a little bit better, but a year younger. And I think it's going to be interesting how those two kind of jockey for playing time opposite Mason Taylor as they get into the season. This is an interesting one. What about John Emery?
The biggest surprise of camp to me has been watching John Emery seemingly look like he didn't just tear his ACL 9 months ago. I can't believe how spry he's been, and honestly, how many carries that he's gotten throughout the entire the first week of camp. I mean, they've really thrown him back into the fire really quickly to push him and see what he's capable of. And there's been a couple times where he's had to walk off to the side and get his brace or knee checked out, and he's thrown his helmet in frustration, but he just keeps going out there and getting carries and looking really, really spry. So I'm like, if they get the John Emery, before the injury, then I think you're looking at a nice third option out of the backfield.
Garrett Nussmeier.
He's gotten better as camp's gone on. I think for me, it's not just the interceptions that he had early in the first 3 or 4 practices. He didn't look extremely sharp, and I think the past 2 days, yesterday and today, I think he's been significantly better. And I said, on the board, I said everywhere I wasn't worried about him after the first couple of practices, but I think it's actually a good thing that he got pushed and he maybe made some mistakes that he learned from. So all around, Nussmeier is going to be really good, and I think he's gotten better as camp's gone on.
Last one here, Kyren Lacy.
1,000-plus yard receiver. He continues to win reps against everybody they put him against. I think Nussmeier has the best connection with Lacy. I think that's obvious. And I think Lacy is going to be, the bona fide wide receiver 1 for LSU, I think, pretty comfortably this year. He's carried himself like a pro. He looks like a pro. We've seen pros really the past, however many years at LSU, and I think he fits the bill.
Joe Sloan met with the media earlier today. Anything that you took from that Q&A session?
I think part of it, I think the running backs were interesting to hear him talk about the run game. That was honestly one of my biggest questions, was to hear him talk about that and how they were going to do it. It sounded like there's a lot of trust in Caleb Jackson, and compared to last year, where last year felt a lot like the Whit Weeks situation, maybe, where he was kind of swimming and was a fish out of water at times. So I'm excited to see Caleb Jackson and the run game in general. I think they know they have to be more creative. I think they are going to be more creative. And then just what he was talking about in terms of fitting an offense around Garrett Nussmeier, I'm interested to see what that looks like and how they kind of tailor the offense around him, obviously, compared to Jaden Daniels. So there wasn't anything groundbreaking, really, but I think he gave some good notes in terms of the run game, and also, like we talked about, the tight end position now. Without Markway, he really believes in Pimpton and Green behind Taylor.
You want practice videos, you want practice reports, you can all get them all over at On3, the Bengal Tiger. Matthew Brune, Shea Dixon, Billy Embody, they are all over it. We'll see you out there later this week, Matthew. Thanks for some time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hunt. Anytime.
He is Matthew Brune. Appreciate him for giving us a few minutes. I'm with him. I said this yesterday, and at times you just reiterate things. We don't have the same listenership every single day, and sometimes it helps to hear something twice. I have been really impressed with Kyren Lacy. And you could sit there and say, well, duh, we saw him last year. He was really good. He just couldn't get the ball because Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors were out there. Okay, he had a huge drop in the Florida State game, and he was the number 3 that has come from Louisiana Lafayette. Like, I'm not willing to just seed him excellence because those two guys moved on to the NFL in the first round, and he's next up on that list. Like, I'm not even bringing that into the equation. I'm just watching practice. He is dominating out there. Every rep, no matter the cornerback, no matter the route, he's high-pointing balls. They're throwing back shoulders. He's beating guys to the inside. He's beating guys deep. He's been phenomenal for a week. It's been really interesting to watch. And I'm trying to, like, this is not bias that's creeping in because we saw some stuff last year. Like, this is purely what we've seen over the course of camp. He's been sensational, and Brune's obviously seen the same type thing. If you missed any of our LSU football coverage, you can find it on YouTube. Hunt on LSU. All of our LSU football content right there every single day. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.